What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel here on YouTube. Today I want to show you guys some of the palettes that I have in my collection that I would definitely want to use for fall. Some palettes that I have you can use all year, and some palettes I love to just pull out during the fall season. I actually love this season. I love everything pumpkin spice latte. I love the leaves falling, the coloring, and I love those type of brown tones. I wanted to do a best of 5 palettes, but I couldn't narrow it down. So I have 6 palettes in front of me. And let's first talk about the palette that is on my face. The first palette that is on my face is actually this beautiful Tom Ford palette. This is the Smokey Quartz palette, and it's an all matte palette. And when I first thought about fall palettes, I didn't initially think of this one, but then I kind of scoured through my collection and I realized actually these 2 tones in particular, they scream fall at me. They just, I don't know. There's something about them that has that kind of like burnt, you know, leaves falling type of shadows. And then of course with that nude, I don't know. This is kind of the coloring that you see here in the Netherlands. You see the leaves falling, you see type of like brown tones, but mixed in with a bit of red. And that's exactly what this palette embodies. Now I use this palette all year round, but I definitely would recommend this, especially in this season, the autumn fall season. There's something about this that just, you know, really works for this season, don't you think? In case you want to have one of these palettes, I'm going to link everything down below. Most of them are going to be affiliate links, so if you want to support my channel, please use one of my links. Everything that I earn currently goes right back into my channel. Just wanted to say that before I moved on to the next palette. Now I'm going to continue on using Quartz first. And the quad that I want to recommend next is absolutely stunning. It's the Chanel Intensité quad. Now this came out for their fall collection, and honestly I feel like this quad kind of got outstaged by the tweed collection that was hyped up for months and months and months. When this launched, it just kind of was the underdog and it didn't look very attractive in the photos, in my opinion. I decided to pick it up because I wanted to do more Chanel reviews on my channel, but when I saw this, I instantly fell in love. There's something about this that doesn't necessarily scream fall to you because it has that purple kind of burgundy tones. And then of course it has a gold in there, but for some reason this palette works. When I see this palette, it does remind me of like fallen leaves that are like already on the floor, kind of have that burgundy kind of brown tones to it with mixed in with a little bit of yellow. I have been really enjoying Chanel shadows just because they are so soft, a little bit sophisticated, but they do add a lot of dimension on the lids. I don't know, there's something about Chanel that I've been really intrigued by this year, and I have been trying to follow a little bit more of Chanel lately. I probably will pick up the holiday palette as well because all the Chanel shadows that I have currently, I have put in my rotation. So Chanel, a little bit expensive, but this palette, don't sleep on it if you are interested in kind of like an off, you know, not necessarily like pumpkin spice latte type of fall palette. I actually really would recommend this one. The purple tones are very complementary. I don't know. They're just not, you know, straight up burgundy, straight up purple. They're just very soft and they work. They just work. So definitely would recommend. Stepping away a little bit from the quads, I want to show you guys the palette that I chose that has a little bit more shades, and probably not one that often gets recommended in these type of fall palette videos. But personally, I definitely feel like this palette screams fall. I had to check it out a little bit first. I put it on the eyes, kind of tested it out, looked at the footage, and I was like, yeah, this to me is a pumpkin spice latte dream. And I'm talking about the Charlotte Tilbury Darling palette. This does lean a little bit peachy, but for some reason this just works for the fall. It's these brown tones together with the peach tones together with just a highlight tone. The fact that it has these 6 shades also really make it so versatile. You don't have to use all the shades to get a pretty look out of this. Quality wise, it's probably one of the better quality palettes that Charlotte Tilbury has in her collection. The shades feel creamy, they blend out really well, and I absolutely love the looks that you can get with this palette. This is just such a stunning, easy eye palette. Oh, she really named this one correctly, but this is just a really stunning palette, not one that you often see in collection videos or people talk about this one, but definitely one that I want to have a moment to appreciate this because this is a stunning pumpkin spice latte dream palette in my opinion. From Sixpan, let's go to Quince. And of course, I can't talk about Quince without talking about Dior. I recently picked up this beautiful little palette. This is the Silk Earth palette. Silk Earth palette is actually part of their core collection, so non-limited edition. Dior has been coming out with so many limited edition shadows and I am a little bit overwhelmed. And when I picked this one up, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it because of like this red in it. This is definitely a palette I would more so actually use in the fall, not necessarily for the entire year. This definitely is a fall palette in my opinion, but it's a stunning palette nonetheless, even with a red in there because I was a little bit afraid of this red. But this red kind of pulls a bit more wine burgundy type of red, which for some reason really makes it work with the rest of the colors, deepening out that copper color. That copper color is just fall embodied in one shade in my opinion. Now for those of you that want to pack on a little bit more pigment and you're kind of sick and tired of the Chanel, Dior type of recommendations that you see here, a beautiful fall palette which also just holds to my heart, pumpkin spice dreams, is actually the Natasha Denona mini bronze palette. Technically you can also say the bronze palette, but I don't own the bronze palette, I only own the mini. This is another one because of the orange tones and the red tones in here. Something about this just screams so much fall to me. I love Natasha Denona shadows for how pigmented they are. They blend out really well. And I actually really like these minis. I don't use all of my minis quite often, but this one I've picked up a few times this season and it's definitely a seasonal palette to me. It's a nice curated palette with 4 mattes and 1 shimmer shade. The shimmer shade in this is just so incredibly buttery and it just works, you know. This definitely is a very warm tone palette. All of these shades are well performing. So it's just a color story that makes me feel, yeah, again, pumpkin spice lattes and just warm fireplace. I really like this palette and definitely it's an easy one to recommend. It's probably the cheapest palette out of the entire lineup. So if you are looking for a great fall time palette and you didn't know where to start, this is actually a really great one to start with. Then from the cheapest palette that is in front of me, I'm gonna go to, I think, my most expensive palette, and that's gonna be a new palette in my collection, but I have been using this actually a few times. I think I've already used it 3 or 4 times, and I'm talking about the GUERLAIN palette. This is the Royal Jungle palette and I've been absolutely loving this formula. These are high pigmented, it's expensive. I believe it's about $90, so a little bit crazy. And originally I wasn't sure if I was gonna call this a fall palette. It does pull a lot of, you know, gold tones in here, but this brown tone really grounds itself really well as a fall palette. Now I actually really like the brown color and this sparkly shade over here. Ooh, that together could just be a look in itself. I definitely feel like I got my money's worth from this palette because I have been using it and enjoying it. And if I have one criticism when it comes to this palette, I definitely feel like the criticism is that sometimes it's a little bit too pigmented. Like it's just a little bit too crazy to work with. So I like to keep it to the lighter tones. The one that I work with the least is probably this deeper tone. I feel like this one is a little bit more stiffer in the pan, but maybe that's just me. I prefer working with the lighter tones in general anyway, and you can get really nice looks with this one. I like the formulation, I love the packaging. Yes, it's a little bit pricey, but it works for the fall, and if you are looking for that luxury experience, I actually think that this is a really great recommendation. Okay guys, what do you guys think of my palette recommendations for the fall? Do you own any of these palettes? Do you like the recommendations? Are you interested in one of them? And if you are, please make sure to use one of my affiliates down below if you want to support my channel. You don't have to, of course. I really liked doing this video and just scouring through my collection. I tried out all the palettes one more time just to see if I would really want to recommend this in a video, and I'm very happy with the lineup that I have here. Again, I couldn't make it 5. I almost decided not to include the Charlotte Tilbury one because I was like, maybe people think it's a little bit too peach toned, but when I saw it in editing, I was like, no, this is a beautiful palette and I want to include it. Anyway guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel but you did like the brands that you saw here in this video, please make sure to subscribe to my channel because these are kind of the brands that I do like to focus on. If you have any questions regarding the makeup that you saw in this video, please make sure to drop me a comment. You can also just drop a comment to talk about makeup with me. I love talking about makeup with anyone. I call it nerding out about makeup. So if you have any questions, please make sure to use the comment section down below. Like this video if you liked anything about this video. And of course, I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!